I think there's always a strong Italian presence in the later stages of competitions, but the very end, sort of winning it, and there is a difference, and we see that. So it is. No, I think you are right that it's something that will need to evolve.
Nieve, what were your thoughts on the match tonight?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, there we go.
Hey guys, yeah, I think that last bit of the game for Inter, for a team that are so solid defensively, those last 5 to 10 minutes, they will always sigh relief, I think, if they get through them, especially when the substitutions are starting to be made by Inter. You can start to see maybe moments of confusion, sort of when they're defending the box as well. So yeah, definitely think relief after that.
Hey, can you explain to us also, because you have a lot of knowledge on this, especially with the budgets of Italian football, how does a team like Inter, or any Italian team, but let's just use Inter for this example, I think it makes a lot of sense, obviously, how do they continue to compete with teams that have these massive budgets, like maybe Arsenal's or the PSG's or these other teams from around the world? How do they continue to do that?
I think it's creativity with signings. It's profiling players for a system as opposed to who is the best player. Seeing that with someone like a Çalhanoğlu, who was brought into Inter, it's creative, sort of DeMarco. These are players that have got set roles in a team and they suit that. And you see it all across Serie A, not just Inter. I think many players will suit a system of the team they're in, and then when they play elsewhere, they'll struggle. So I think just continuing to do that, whilst also trying to find a way to make the product of Serie A better so that you can increase the finances too.
Nieve, how have you seen Italian football adapt, and what do you think it needs more? Because I buy into this whole being creative with a lot of your transfers, with a lot of players that you pick up. But maybe kind of sometimes down the stretch, you need that guy that's absolutely world class. So how have you seen them evolve?
Yeah, no, I think you are right. I think eventually to get over the line, I think there's always a strong Italian presence in the later stages of competitions, but the very end, sort of winning it, and there is a difference, and we see that. So it is. No, I think you are right that it's something that will need to evolve, but I think it will only evolve if you get more eyes on Serie A. But I think you can easily get eyes on Serie A if you make a good product to watch it, because it's really exciting football.
Nieve, are you worried about Serie A and Italian football falling further behind maybe other European leagues because of the financial side of it? In them, obviously the Premier League we know is the most financially strongest league in world football. Do you feel Serie A is falling further behind?
Personally, no, I don't, because something that will never change and you'll never be able to take away from the league is the quality of the managers, and these managers, Italian managers that want to manage in Italy as well, and that will always exist. You know, I think it's quite an Italian thing that I've noticed, and it's a reflection in football, is sort of making do with what you've got and sort of trying to, I mean, look at Conte at Napoli. I think that's the perfect example. He's come to Napoli. Over the last few years, we've seen what Conte likes to do. He likes the wide players, a back three. He's come to Napoli, he's seen how strong the midfield is, and he's worked around that. So you make do with what you've got in front of you, and you can still create and build strong teams.
We just watched Inter go by Bayern Munich, and now they're going to face the semi-final against Barcelona. Do you think they can win the Champions League, and do you think that they will win the Scudetto?
I think they definitely can. I'm so fascinated by Inter versus Barcelona, because you've got two teams where the strengths of Barcelona, I think, will really hurt the weaknesses of Inter. But I also think the exact same the other way around as well. But the big thing that could be a positive for Inter against Barcelona is if Balde can't make that game, if he's not back from his injury, that'll be a huge, huge miss. Because that entire left-hand side with Balde and Rafinha, when Martin has to play there, they're just so much weaker. And I think because Barcelona like to put lots of players into the box, you've even got a midfielder that will make a run into the box. You've got Rafinha who sort of plays as an inside forward as opposed to a winger. Yamal's comfortable coming inside. I think that disruption and confusion of all the players there is something that could hurt Inter. But at the very core of that, having someone like Valde to allow the domino effect to do all of that with Rafinha and so on, him not being there could really play into Inter's advantage.
Nieve, I want to go back to the topic of the Serie A teams, specifically the Serie A players that look like they thrive within their system, of their club, of their setup. So many have either gone to the Premier League, maybe to Germany, and their career hasn't progressed forward. Actually, you could probably argue that a lot of these players have regressed. Why do you think that is?
I do think because you've got it in the back of your mind that is potentially a thing. I do think people spot players that don't do well more than they spot players that do well. So I don't think it's as much an issue as perhaps it is. But players that do struggle, you could, like, for example, you look at Zirkzee, for example, you can still see in the Premier League in those moments his quality on the ball. You can still see this is a really talented footballer, technical footballer. But perhaps maybe the way that Serie A is so system-based, you might find yourself in certain games with a little bit more time and space to run into in those extra couple of seconds that you're just not going to get week out in the Premier League. And that's where I think players might struggle, is they've got to have that period where they adapt to just how much quicker they've got to think on their feet, maybe.
Mm-hmm. That's a really interesting point. I suppose there is a couple of players, though, that you could say the opposite, that have been in Serie A and now are doing obviously well in the top 5 leagues across the world. Nieve, are you a Bolton fan? Is that right?
Yeah, I'm a Bolton fan.
Didn't you play for Bolton?
Why are you bringing up bad memories?
You played for Bolton.
I did, and we were relegated. Last day of the season.
Join the club.
I didn't know that. Normally
One time, Greg. Yes.
Nieve, I'm sure you didn't watch Nigel play, though. You're far too young for that, right?
Oh, yeah. Far too young.
All right.
You have got close ties, though, Bolton, together. How did you start following Serie A, Nieve? Because your dad is from Napoli, is that right? So is Napoli your team in Italy?
Yeah. My dad, I was brought up on a diet of Maradona. So I had no choice but to have a really strong soft spot for Napoli. And I just really love the Italian game, and I just love the attitude and just the way that Italian football is.
So on that note, Nieve, who does your dad think is the best player of all time, and who do you think is the best player of all time? Now, the generational thing is interesting to me because I was raised in an Argentine family.
Yeah, so my dad would say, I think if I was to throw that question at my dad, the 3 names that always pop up are always Maradona, Van Basten and Baggio. And they always pop up. But for me, the best player of all time is Messi.
The Divino Corino, Grella, is that right?
Yeah,
Your
Roberto
favourite
Baggio,
player?
very good player, obviously, but I think it's Diego Armando Maradona for me, but okay.
I know, I'm surprised you haven't got your Maradona socks on today. You like to wear
I had
them
them on
with your
yesterday.
suit.
I had them
was
on
it?
yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, 2 Napolitans with us. Nieve, what player, if people maybe don't watch Serie A week in, week out, would you say is maybe the next up-and-coming player that people should really be keeping their eye on?
In terms of upcoming, I'm a big fan of Angiuan Boni. In terms of his raw ability as a striker, this is someone with a huge high ceiling. But a player that I've really found quite underrated in Italian football is Orsolini, I'd say. And I think the fact that a lot of his goals, he sort of cuts inside and creates a goal out of nowhere, and that really impresses me as well. I'd like to see him get more opportunity and maybe a chance in the Italian national team.
Nieve, before we let you go, who do you think is going to win the Champions League?
So before a ball was kicked, I did predict Barcelona, and because of the way they play, I just think it's unbelievable. It's just so hard to deal with. But I think some of the recent games have me think, no, they have me. I have to stick with them. I have to stick with Barcelona.
Okay, so after all of that, that means there'll be no treble for Inter then.
Yeah, and I will, because Napoli will overtake them in the league as well.
I think that's fair to say.
Manifest that, to be fair.
Just before we let you go, is that a YouTube award behind you? They're asking me, how many subscribers is that YouTube award for?
Oh, yeah, so that's for when you get to 100,000. So I got that a while back, actually, to be fair. But yeah, it's very rogue, the content on YouTube, though. And if you're expecting Serie A stuff, you'll get there and see that it's most of that English non-league. So you'll not sure if you're happy or not to see that.
Grell, how many YouTube subscribers do you have on your goal?
He doesn't even know what a YouTube subscriber is.
YouTube.
This isn't true. Have you seen his goals? He has a fake YouTube account. He posts all of his goals every single day, recycles them on his story.
You can't make it up, Nico. Believe half of what you see and none of what you hear from Poppy about me.
There's not a YouTube page dedicated to the Ederson goal?
I don't know.
Do you follow Greller on Instagram?
On Instagram, yeah, of course.
Okay, you don't see his goals that he posts every day?
every so often.
Just got
I
tagged in
post
this.
them every day.
I just got tagged in this classic from Old Trafford back in the day. Nieve, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you soon. And good luck to Napoli for the rest of the season. I hope that you can enjoy that pizza.
Thank you. Now I'll go and look up some of Mike's highlight goals now.
Yeah, please do.
It won't take you long.
Just find his channel. You'll be right there. Good to see you.